E3. User authorized. E3 unlocked. Welcome to the Electronic Entertainment Expo 2011. Proudly sponsored by Best Buy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2011. It is day 2, and we are kicking off our live stage show with one of the most anticipated games of E3, Mass Effect 3. Joining me on stage from BioWare is Casey Hudson, a man you may have seen throughout the whole run of this epic series. Casey, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
We are super excited to get another look at Mass Effect 3. So, without further ado, give us, what are people going to see right now today? What's going to light their fire?
Well, we're showing a bunch of really cool new things at the show. It's a huge game. There's so much to show on this game. And so we're trying to show a bunch of the different facets of it. The huge moments which you saw at the stage show.
Absolutely.
And so that's where literally we put you as the player, as Commander Shepard, in the same space as Reapers, these literally mile-high enemies.
And not, at a remove Reapers, not I see them far off in the distance, but that one's coming after me. Reapers.
That's right. Yeah, you'll literally be in the same space as them at certain points. So huge moments. We've also done a lot to really expand the combat gameplay. So that's some of the stuff that we're looking at right here. We're going to kind of run through some of the new things that Commander Shepard can do. So the combat is really intense, weapons really hard-hitting. Shepard's got a lot of new movement abilities. And then I guess the other component is the role-playing aspects, whether it's customization stuff and the story. So it's kind of like all of those things together. Really, we've been working on this series. This is the best place for people to jump in if you haven't played it before. And this is the beginning of the Galactic War. Shepard starts out on Earth, and then it just builds out from there.
And now, speaking of planets, are we on Earth in this gameplay segment right now? Tell us what, we saw a little bit of this for those folks who watched the Microsoft press conference demo, but give us the setting here for Shepard's encounter.
So this is actually from sort of in the middle of the game, and Commander Shepard is actually on a world. This is a Solarian homeworld, and so you're kind of caught between two warring civilizations, and what Shepard's trying to do here is rescue the one person that really holds a key to the alliance between them. And so you're kind of in this Solarian Area 51 type facility, and you're trying to rescue someone. And so you can see that Shepard's really fighting through here. And
now you're visiting with the Solarians, obviously one of the most important species in the Mass Effect universe. Are you going to be gathering the support of the Citadel species to help defend Earth and humanity?
Yeah, that's part of the really cool premise of Mass Effect 3 is that, everything is really led up to this point. So previous games, you found out that there's an ancient race of super intelligent machines that are here to harvest all life in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. And Shepard's been trying to prove it to people and trying to hold it off. But Mass Effect 3 is about that war and the fact that they're here. So you do start off on Earth, and then.
And I don't mean to interrupt you right now, but Shepard just showed off one of the new things you guys are boasting here in Mass Effect 3.
That's right.
And that is a blade. It's sort of like the Omni tool gone ballistic.
That's right. Yeah, the Omni Blade is a new, really visceral melee attack. You can use it in a bunch of different situations. We'll show it again, but it's basically like a holographic switchblade. So it's a great new addition. And what we're looking at here is another big new addition to the whole experience. You can literally craft your weapons by throwing them down on a bench and plugging in mods that you'll buy and find and sell throughout the game economy. So that's a huge new addition, is that you can actually really customize your weapons, your armor, your gear to really suit different play styles.
And I think that's something that fans are really excited for, because you gain new weapons throughout Mass Effect 2, but a return to being able to tweak to your play style,
right.
That's just been lighting people's fires. They've been really excited about it.
That's been really the big expansion, is just all of the features that we've been building over the series. Now it's like they all kind of connect together, and you have this incredible fluidity in how you can play. So right there we saw that in terms of your character progression, you've got not only new powers, but as you progress your powers, you're able to choose not just from the new ones, but which version of each one, because they start branching. So as you progress each power, in that case we're looking at Combat Mastery, which is a passive power for the soldier. You can choose at the next stage, do you want more damage in combat or do you want more influence? And again, it really has to do with the way that you want to play the game.
And the more branching paths, the better as far as I'm concerned, because that just adds fuel to that fire of, I want to go back, I want to replay,
Right.
I want to get through it again. Now, you mentioned earlier that this is one of the best places for fans, or for folks to jump into the Mass Effect series. And,
Right.
when you released Mass Effect 2 for the PS3, there was an interactive comic that sort of served as a previously on Mass Effect. Are you guys doing something like that for Mass Effect 3?
Yeah, I mean, we actually haven't sorted out exactly how we're going to do it, but we know that actually for new players and for even big fans of the series, it's great after, it's been a couple years since the previous game by the time Mass Effect 3 comes out, so everyone's going to want at least a little bit of a refresher on where they left off, and just kind of recap the story. So we'll definitely have something like that for both new players and existing fans.
Excellent. Now, back to the gameplay here. We've got a pod integrity meter. This is sort of defending that VIP you were talking about?
That's right. So this is Mordin. Mordin is a character that you might know from previous games if you played the Mass Effect series. You might have gotten Mordin killed in Mass Effect 2. So this scene would be different had you done different things in Mass Effect 2. But they're trying to move this kind of security pod out of this facility, but they're being attacked by Cerberus. And so these troopers are really trying to break into that pod, and Shepard's trying to defend it. What we're seeing here actually is one of the bigger enemies.
I'll say.
Definitely not the biggest enemy, but the cool thing about this guy is that it's a really cool enemy to fight, but it's actually a vehicle. If you can take out the pilot before you destroy the vehicle, you can actually jump in there and stomp around in a mech and dominate the battlefield.
Excellent.
So, I mean, we're doing really neat things with what enemies can be in Mass Effect 3.
I've seen you guys play with scale is really intriguing, because that press conference demo, if you folks didn't get a chance to watch it, look it up, because the scale of the destruction, the scale of the conflict is just massive, and we're getting some glimpses of that here as well.
That's right.
And this looks like we're taking a look at some of the worlds you're going to go through,
That's
some
right.
of the environments. So, obviously you've talked a lot about Earth, but this is a spacefaring series. Where else is Shepard going to travel?
Well, I mean, this is a Mass Effect game, so as much as we have really intense combat and big scenes and everything, it really is about commanding your starship to wherever you want to go in the galaxy, and actually, following and really pushing the main storyline, but also finding things off the beaten path, finding a different world to adventure to, and opening up these new things, all in the context of a galaxy at war. That's really the main theme, is the whole galaxy is at war with the Reapers. And as the Reapers close in, just like imagine World War II, they're, all the different sides are building these amazing projects and new weapons, and that's kind of what you're doing as Commander Shepard, is just trying to get all of these assets and these fleets and armies, entire civilizations in as the story progresses, and also in terms of every little side plot. So
now that's exciting to hear about, because I'm sorry, I just got distracted by the towering Goliath Reaper destroying this city. We should talk about this right now. What is going on?
This is Earth. This is from towards the beginning of the game. Shepard has been in hearings, kind of answering for prior actions, but obviously those hearings were cut short because the Reapers have arrived.
Nothing to derail, a governmental inquiry like an apocalyptic invasion.
That's right. So Shepard, you can see Shepard's with Anderson there, another major character in the series. They're basically trying to escape. They're trying to figure out how they can get out of here and ideally meet up with their friends on the Normandy.
All right, now folks, as you know, we are live here from E3 2011, and therefore we are taking your questions here with Casey Hudson about Mass Effect 3. Send them to us over Twitter to @GameSpot, or use the Ask Us a Question button right on the page next to the player you are seeing. And now, Shepard is sort of taken cover, seems to have encountered a character. You know, the dialogue choices, again, are one of the core elements of what makes Mass Effect such an immersive series. You know, are you guys, talk to us about how that plays into Mass Effect 3.
Well, I mean, that's one thing we're seeing here is, this is a really great example of how we try to tell the most epic story we possibly can, but the reason why we think players care about these huge over-the-top moments is because there's an emotional connection to the characters that are experiencing it. And this is actually the beginning of an important thread of Commander Shepard's journey throughout the game, where, you know, we're really taking people to, I think, a place where they haven't maybe experienced in games before, where you see this epic stuff, but there's a kind of a growing undercurrent of an emotional experience.
And part of it being an emotional experience is you getting to make dramatic choices, to sort of choose that Paragon and Renegade path. That morality system is in place again here in Mass Effect 3?
Yeah, and it's you know, of course, it does get into gray areas, and more we want to try and obfuscate, you know, ultimately what is right.
What is right or wrong.
And because ultimately Paragon and Renegade is not meant to be good and evil. It's a little bit different, where it's a question of, you know, do you sacrifice anything for the greater good, or are you unwilling to make certain sacrifices? You know, just to justify the end.
And then have to deal with those consequences.
That's right.
It seems like this, you know, but in combat, when you're fighting a hideous monster called a cannibal, is that a new looking enemy? Because
yeah, the cannibals,
that's pretty horrifying.
It's an example of one of the new enemies that we have, where they've got more complex behaviors. So they're doing all kinds of different things, where these guys actually will kind of feast on the health energy of other creatures. So they're, you know, you have to really think about how these different characters fight and what you need to do against them. But the other thing is that these enemies are basically mutated by the Reapers. So if you look closely, you'll see that these guys are actually mashed together out of other species that you'll find. So these guys are sort of based on the Batarian characters that you'll come across.
Yeah, I saw so numerous eyeballs in their horrible deformed faces.
That's right. I think I saw a second skull kind of grafted onto the side.
That is gnarly. So we have a question coming in about, you know, the diverse species you see. You know, obviously we talked about Batarians, Solarians, and, you know, we've seen Asari squad mates.
Right.
Are we going to be seeing any that maybe didn't play a role in Mass Effect 2, or some new species that you want to maybe give us a hint about?
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have some new characters. For example, one we've talked about is a character called James Vega. So we're seeing Shepard and Anderson kind of run around in Earth military fatigues. Mm-hmm. James Vega is kind of a career soldier officer, and so he'll be a new character for this series. We're also bringing back, you know, in addition to adding some other characters, we're bringing back some of the characters that you might have seen before, some of the characters maybe that are main characters in the Mass Effect series but weren't main, you know, squad members in Mass Effect 2. So we always try and create a blend of meeting new people and the discovery of that, but also, you know, bringing back old friends.
Excellent. Now, as this conflict plays out, we're seeing some friends arrive on the scene.
Right. Yeah. So the Normandy shows up, and obviously Shepard knows he's probably got some friends in there. So it's a great hero moment for the Normandy, and fans of the series. I think it's
the Normandy,
it's kind
of course,
deal.
Shepard's iconic ship that's taken him across the Milky Way in pursuit of trying to really save the world, save worlds and species,
save the galaxy.
The galaxy.
Yeah.
Excellent. And so, is this a new face here, or is this just a new hairstyle for a familiar friend?
That's Ashley, and just like many of the characters, that's part of the interest in Mass Effect 3. Is it starts so suddenly that your friends, all these characters, are really scattered throughout the galaxy. So you don't know where they all are. They're actually all, you know, just like Shepard was kind of ambushed on the Earth. Mm-hmm. All these other characters are out there somewhere, and they're fighting for their lives. And so even though it's not a character collection quest story, it really is a war story in a more linear sense, and there's a progression to it. But your characters are out there, and that's part of the fun, is trying to find what they're up to and help them survive the situation that they're in.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, Shepard sort of marshaling that galactic war effort that is springing up independently across.
That's right.
And was I mistaken? I saw in the demo in the Microsoft press conference, there was a moment of recognition between Morden and Shepard, as if, you know, maybe they hadn't been running together recently. Oh,
Right.
Surprised to see you here. Let's avoid getting killed and try to save the galaxy.
Exactly. Yeah, it is a different kind of story because there isn't the assumption that everyone's going to get back together. It literally is, you know, what happens when everyone is kind of surprised by an invasion and war, and everyone's trying to survive.
Well, Casey, it's been a real thrill to see so many scenes from Mass Effect 3. You guys are having a great presence here at E3.
It's been great.
Is there anything else you want to mention about this epic game before we sign off?
Well, one of the big things that we're announcing here at E3 is we've got a date. It's March 6, 2012, and we're going to be on Xbox 360, PS3, and the PC.
There you heard it, folks. March 6th. Casey Hudson, thank you so much for joining us on stage. Mass Effect 3 coming to you, folks, early next year. Now we're going to head off to a different kind of hero, a little more earthbound, but no less spectacular. It's Captain America. We've got a demo of that game coming up for you right now.